Okay, great. Yeah. So, Vive Studios is the platform agnostic, content development and publishing label that we've just founded back in December. And so we started creating content. Our goal is to create showcase content in 10 categories that we think are important for VR. Gaming, obviously, being primary, and that's what we're here to talk about today at Game Developers Conference. But just for context, we're also creating content in healthcare, in design and tools, in education and cinematic VR, and several other key areas. So our goal is to really show why VR is important in your life and all of the great uses that you can have for it in Vive with full 360 and room scale, which opens up lots of possibilities that were not possible before. So the games that we're showcasing today, which we're going to announce at GDC, one is VR Sports, and it's a single player and multiplayer ping pong and tennis game, which you can play both against the AI if you're want to get practice and get your skills up, but then the real fun we feel is when you go online and play against other players, and that's when things get really interesting. And of course you can challenge your friends if you like, or you can go and find new friends and play against them. So we'll be happy to show you that. We're going to launch that in about 2 weeks on March 14th, and it'll be available on Steam for download. The other thing that we're announcing today is a 3D modeling program called Make VR, and it's essentially a CAD design tool that lets you create 3D objects, 3D assets that you can then import into your game, into your Unity file, into your Unreal program, and actually design a robot and then take them into your game. Yeah, so you'll be able to design in VR for your VR content. And so from the end to end, you'll be able to create and enjoy and develop. You can also 3D print your objects because being a CAD engine, it makes each of the models a completely solid object, which is a requirement to be able to 3D print it. And so if you have a 3D printer, you can actually create something, again, create a turtle, create a robot, create a pipe, and then essentially send that to your printer and print it out, and then you can have it on your desk. If you don't have a 3D printer, you can send it to any of those fantastic online services like Shapeways that will let you actually create it and ship it to your house. So that's super compelling. And then we have also Front Defense, which is another AAA game coming in April to Viveport Arcade. And it's a World War II themed bunker defense game. I don't know, have you had a chance to preview that at any of the other events? Yeah, we've had it out for preview at a few events, but we have a new level today that we're previewing for the first time here at GDC, and it is really fun. It's very action-packed. It's you have everything from a machine gun to hand grenades to handguns, and even a anti-aircraft gun, which is 50 caliber, super fun to just be shooting down airplanes out of the sky because hey, they're trying to take you out. So what are you going to do? You got to defend yourself. So yeah, that game is really high production quality, AAA. It's being developed from an internal team here at Vive Studios called Fantahorn Studio. And that game will launch in Viveport Arcades in April, and then to home Vive users this summer in June. So those are the products that we're kind of premiering here at the show. Just as well, we want to let people know that through the rest of this year, we'll likely launch about 25 additional games and applications for VR. All of them are platform agnostic, so we're starting with Vive versions, obviously, if we fund something, if we develop something, if we partner with a team. But then we aren't locking out other VR platforms, which is a little bit different than other folks are doing. We feel that content should not be used as a weapon, and it should be free, and go where there's an audience for it. So we want VR to thrive. We want the developer ecosystem to grow, and so we think the best way to do that is to let developers have the choice of where they want to put their platforms, as opposed to making sort of backroom deals and trying to block out parts of the market. So that has all led us to be named as the developer's choice for VR. Actually, I don't know if you saw the Game Developers Conference VR Industry Report, which they just released, but essentially in that report, we were very pleased to see that Vive was the #1 platform of choice for developers by a good margin when you look at what they're developing now, what their next VR development will be, and which platform they're exclusively developing their next content for, they want to develop for. So, you know, that's what we're very pleased to be messaging today. And if you are interested, we can put you into either one of those games, the VR Sports and Front Defense, if you have time to take a look at those.
Sure. Can I ask a few questions?
Oh, of course, yes, please.
So, can you give viewers kind of a rundown of maybe an in-depth example of one or two of the activities that they'll be trying in VR Sports?
Sure, yeah. So this is both tennis and ping pong are the two games that are in VR Sports. So the physics model that the team worked on for this is incredibly accurate. So those two sports are very much about, you know, putting top spin, side spin, back spin on the ball. And if it's in ping pong, it's at the table sort of scale. So the sort of flick of the wrist that you can make on right, left, up, or down is incredibly accurate. It's being sampled at 1,000 times a second to give it the most accurate physics simulation in VR so far. And so that's the key thing with VR Sports, is the very accurate physics, very nice production value, and then of course what we think is the killer app for VR, which is multiplayer. So, you know, you can play by yourself, that's a certain level of fun, but being able to play against real human opponents is a whole nother level of fun. So those are the key things that you'll be able to enjoy in VR Sports.
So you talked about the second title that allows you to kind of sculpt and make objects and bring them into the real world.
Yeah.
What brought
Make VR.
Make VR. What brought on that synergy of 3D printing and virtual reality?
Yeah, so actually our partner team that's been developing this, they're called Sixth Sense, and they actually were the visionaries behind this product. They've been developing it for several years, since premium virtual reality, you know, became an actual thing that developers could start targeting to release products for. And so they've had this in development for a few years, and we were introduced to them and saw what they were working on, and were just incredibly excited. We got it right away that this was going to be a great thing to be able to create actual, you know, objects in virtual reality, and as both a developer tool, but also as a creator. The maker community right now is, as you know, just millions of people around the world like to create their own things, and then sometimes they find that they're missing a part that doesn't exist in reality, so they have to go and create it. So we think that doing that in 3D, so as opposed to trying to design on a 2D flat screen and 4 windows and trying to, you know, creatively twist and spin your object around on these in these different window panes, why not actually just have the object in 3D in front of you so that you can walk around the object, twist it and spin it, scale it to any size. If you're like, I can't see if it's quite lining up on that hole, which is critical because the other piece I'm trying to fit needs to go right there, you can actually scale it up to gigantic size, as big as this room, and look and see how it's lining up. So those things we think are going to be better in VR, and as people learn how to use these new tools like Make VR in virtual reality, it will actually help them to create more effectively and more efficiently in VR.
Will Make VR be something that is more approachable than, say, Tilt Brush, which kind of is more towards the professional end of complication? Like, is it approachable for people who maybe haven't made something before?
Yeah, That's right. So actually, we're designing that and targeting it at the full spectrum. So everybody from consumers that just want to maybe design a phone case will have some things that they can use to create something like that. Or if they just want to try to create their own superhero and maybe not be the best artists in the world, it's going to be up to them to sort of experiment around and play around with it to find something that they're happy with before they send it to their printer. But then also we have both free-form tools in there, which are kind of the simpler things like shapes and different objects that you can piece together and glue together or cut or format. But then there will also be later on more precision tools, which would be more for the professional CAD designers who would be comfortable with that tool set. And those will allow people to create just an incredibly wide range of models.
Any final words on the announcements here at GDC?
Yeah, we're just, thanks to all of the developers that have supported Vive. We think, we're almost through with the first year of premium desktop VR, about 11 months into the market now, and we can't wait to see what the developers come up with next, because we think this is the beginning of a fantastic year for virtual reality content.
Thank you so much.
You bet.